Hi everybody, hope you're doing marvelously well. I'm sitting here with my good friend Nate Baglios from Cali Audio. How the devil are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I am good, I'm good. I have not heard what we're about to talk about, but behind us, not heard them at all, is the new Cali Audio SM5, Santa Monica 5.
Yeah.
He's told me a lot about them, so you've got a lot to prove here. These are kind of, they're your high-end speakers, yes?
These are our high-end speakers. I'll give you the elevator pitch.
Give us the
which is, if you look at a speaker like the IN5 or the IN8,
yep,
which is a coincident three-way speaker, those have gotten really popular, and for good reason. They translate really, really well. They image incredibly, but they were built for a price point. And they're built on the same basic componentry that we built the LP series, which is obviously an entry-level speaker. Our idea with these are, let's take those price point considerations out of it. Let's invest some more money in the amplifier. Let's invest some more money in the transducers. Let's look at different materials that we can use. Let's look at more expensive manufacturing techniques that we can employ. Let's put together a speaker that is not the best speaker for the money, as a lot of people talk about the LP6 or the IN8. Let's build a speaker that is the best speaker we can build.
So still on the cheaper side, even though they're not cheap.
Yeah, they're not cheap. It'll be about $3,400 for the pair. So it's $1,699 per speaker. And this is a speaker that I feel very confident can compete with speakers 2 or 3 or 10 times more expensive.
You were just talking about out of the box, how great they're going to sound, but you've also put some DSP in there.
Yeah, so these speakers are really intended for high-end commercial use. And so we wanted to build room calibration into the speakers themselves. So these speakers will process their own parametric EQs, delays, and trims based on what you build.
Delays, so you're getting into the territory of phase alignment and all that stuff.
Phase alignment between speakers.
Okay.
So not between transducers, which some people are doing on some higher-end things.
Okay.
That's locked down. You can't change it. You don't want to. But in terms of how the speakers are phase aligned to each other, especially as you move into immersive formats where it's not just a stereo pair, the speakers process it themselves. One of the big advantages of that is the speakers are Class D amplifiers. They're already processing DSP. There's a little bit of latency built into that already.
But what, 1 or 2 milliseconds?
But 1 or 2 milliseconds, not much. Because they're already doing that, when you're adding whatever room calibration you're adding, it's not adding more latency on top of that.
Okay, so it's 1 to 2 milliseconds worth of latency. So you can track with the DSP on.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's a big deal. Well, why don't we listen to them?
Great.
We're going to have a reaction video. And also, Eric's going to set up a pair of Earthworks M30s and we will record what they sound like as well. So you can hear for yourself.
You know best, 'cause after all you do know best. Try to slip past.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's really interesting. Yeah, the mids are not too forward, but just starting to feel just where, absolutely pretty perfect. Like I say, I'm really sensitive on the high mids and I usually dip them ever so slightly on some speakers.
Do you live inside, outside me?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Right now, what we're calibrating to is, it's not a curve because it's a straight line, but it's not 0 to 0.
Right.
It's between 0.2 dB and between 0.5 dB per octave.
Okay.
Slope from the low end to the high end.
Okay.
And the speaker is going to make a difference in, is that 0.2 or 0.5? The room is going to make a difference. And what you're trying to do is not fight the system that is speaker in the room.
Right.
You're trying to finesse it into that range rather than force something into that range, which is why there's that variance. And that's calibrated with pink noise. There are a lot of people who will say, and I think you're one of them, I won't put words in your mouth, but
that's okay.
I think this represents you. Andrew Sheps would say this. You can get used to the timbre of a speaker in a room.
Really quickly.
And a good producer with a good set of ears will do so. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody is Andrew Sheps. Not everybody's you. So
thankfully.
Doing some calibration helps for a lot of people.
Although I'd like Andrew's beard.
And then a lot of people also, when you're talking about immersive, when you're talking about multi-format, now you don't have a pair of speakers in a room, in a symmetrical room, which are behaving a certain way, which is sort of predictable. Every placement in the room is going to behave a different way. And that becomes chaos.
Sure.
And I would argue calibration becomes very important when you're talking about an immersive setting, getting everything to align to the same standard. So you don't have a pair of speakers that you're used to here and then a different pair of speakers up here that are doing something completely different.
I wonder how that works in reality. You're just opening a whole sub-conversation here, because I think for most people mixing in immersive, they're mixing stems, like proper stems, stereo versions of tracks, and then moving those around. I've sat in rooms with guys that mix album, then stem it out, and then pan it around. And they're probably less concerned because they know that it's working in a stereo setting. So they're probably cutting themselves some slack, thinking, well, I don't have to do any additional EQ on this and this. But if you were to mix immersive from scratch, it's going to have to be incredibly well calibrated.
Right.
Because you won't know, how will you be able to know to make EQ decisions? It would be impossible.
That's exactly my point. Yeah, that's exactly my point.
Agreed.
That all said, let's apply a calibration curve. Let's measure these speakers in the room and see what you think.
You're the king of calibration. Let's have you do it, and Eric's going to film you doing it.
So Warren just listened to these speakers uncalibrated. Now we're going to calibrate the speakers and apply that calibration file to see what he thinks of these. One thing I want to note is that we have a whole process of how to do this yourself. This is documented at caliaudio.com/Santa Monica how-to. There will be a link in the description below for you there. You can do the measurement process and send us those measurements, and we will send you back files to load into your SM5 so you can have calibration there. There is a bit of a learning curve. We've done these with a few people so far. It takes about an hour and a half for someone who's never done this before to go through the whole process. So that's something you want to keep in mind, but it is something we recommend. One thing to also note is we do require at this point that you're using an Earthworks M32R microphone. There's some things to do with microphone calibration, not just the frequency response of the microphone, but also the spatial performance of the microphone. And we can't do every single microphone. So right now we only have that for the Earthworks M32R. So with all that said, I'm going to measure the speakers with no calibration whatsoever so we can see what they're doing. And then we're going to talk about how to put the calibration in. So I just took one measurement. I'm going to take that same measurement exactly the same again, just to make sure that the first measurement I took is valid. Now with the left speaker measured, I'm going to move the output that's going into the left speaker over to the right speaker and measure that one. Both the speakers are measured. We can see that the speakers are behaving very similar to each other. That's not surprising. This is a well-designed room. It's more or less symmetrical. Now we're going to go through and look at where we want to apply some of those EQs, and we're going to do that in Room EQ Wizard. Okay, so we're going to go one at a time, and I'm going to go left first and go into the EQ screen here. And again, this whole process, once you have the speakers measured, you can send these measurements to us and we will take it from here. But I'll show you what we're going to do just so you can see it. So we're going to go into our EQ target, basically what sort of EQ processor we're using. The Santa Monica is already built into there, into REW. We're going to just target type and do a full range speaker. LF cutoff doesn't really matter. And the slope and the rise start, we're going to calculate target response from target. So basically what this does is REW can tell us where we want to be in terms of target. And that is 71 dB. That looks good. I'm going to change the slope a little bit and see if I like that better. I like 0.4 a little bit better. Let's see what 0.5 looks like. 0.5 looks really good. Go back to 0.4. These both look really good. I'm going to do 0.4 because it's a little less extreme. And then go to my filter tasks and match response to target. So what I've done basically is give REW a set of parameters to work with and say match the speaker's response to these parameters. It has now done so, and we're going to look at what it's done. Nothing is too extreme. So what we're going to do here is we're going to save this file, Warren Hewitt. And then we're going to do the same thing for the right speaker. One thing that we need to remember is where we set that slope and also what the target level is. We can go back to this screen at any time though, so that's not a big deal. So we'll get out of here, go over to the right speaker, same thing. Make sure we're set for a Cali Audio EQ processor, EQ filters, save these, right, Now that I've generated the EQs that I want to use, I'm going to open up Cali Control Panel and I'm going to load those EQs into a configuration. That's going to all save as a file. So I'll always have that file, but it's important to note that Cali Control Panel isn't processing anything. It's sort of a data management system so that I can tell it, we're going to send this EQ to this speaker. And in this case, we're going to do this in offline mode. So I'm going to use a USB stick to load those onto the speakers themselves. We can also network all the speakers together with the Ethernet jacks and control every speaker at the same time in online mode. So let's do that now. Left, download an EQ, REW measurements, Warren Hewitt, left, okay, right, okay, so we have left and we have right, and now we are ready to upload those to the speakers, okay. Next step, and now I plug this into the speaker. So this is a USB port on the front of the speaker. Take our USB stick, and it is flashing to let me know that it's uploading an EQ, and then it goes back to blue to tell me that it has that EQ. Now, one really cool thing is once that's done, if I've forgotten that I've done that and I just want to make sure I do have an EQ in there, I can just tap the Cali logo, and it will flash blue for me to tell me that I do have my own EQ in there. Once we apply those EQs, what we're going to do is we're going to measure the speakers again to make sure that the EQs we applied and the predicted curve that we have from that actually lines up with the measured speaker once those EQs are in the speaker. So that's what we're doing right now. That's what we want. Okay, go Warren. We're going to go one speaker at a time. So here is your right speaker before any EQ.
Okay.
Looks like a room is supposed to look. Obviously, these are room modes, these huge ups and downs in the low end. But overall, this is a pretty smooth slope from the low to the high. Yep. So we do an auto EQ with Room EQ Wizard. This is what it's predicting it's going to do. So it's basically taking all the big bumps and the big dips and getting rid of those. And then we measure after to make sure that it actually took it in. And we can see those are right on top of each other. So we're good with that. Same thing with the left. There's a little bit less problem in the low end from the left, probably because we don't have the racks in the room on the left-hand side. Then the predicted based on the EQ that we're going to apply. We apply that to the speaker, and this is what we get afterwards.
Nice.
So what we're doing then in Room EQ Wizard is we're saving these EQs as a KEQ file. So that's a proprietary file that the speakers read.
Okay.
And then we go into Cali Control Panel and we load those EQs into Cali Control Panel. So we download those, ready to import EQ for left. We say left, it says okay. Now let's move on.
And how's this getting a speaker? Where we plugged in?
So there's two options.
Yep.
So in online mode, there's an Ethernet jack on the back of the speaker.
Okay.
You can network all the speakers in your system together up to 9.1.6. Okay. You can have real-time control over everything. Mm-hmm. So as you changed an EQ here, you would hear it happen.
Right.
The other nice thing about that is if you have multiple tunings, let's say you have a fun tuning and a flat tuning, at the press of a button, you can switch between those two different tunings.
Okay.
In offline mode, if you don't want to have to network everything all together, what you do here, you hit upload. We're going to insert a USB drive into the computer. It's going to tell us where to put the dip switches on the back of the speaker because we can create up to 8 EQs.
Okay.
So the same way we have 8 boundary EQ tunings, you can create 8 EQs for yourself in the speaker itself. And it will tell you, okay, for this preset, keep your boundary EQs like this. So you don't have to think about,
I see.
Where exactly did I put this? It's going to show you the diagram. So we hit next step. It's going to say to plug this in. And Eric, if you could...
Who's also holding the camera? Oh, on the front.
Yeah, it's on the front so that if your speakers are mounted, you don't have to worry about unmounting. Yeah, it's from the top.
Okay, cool. There you go. So if they're soffit mounted, you can just do it like that.
Yeah.
How nifty is that?
And you'll see the LED blink blue to show us that it's taking in its EQ.
Yeah.
And then when it's dark blue again, it's ready to go.
It's done. Okay, great.
So we've already done that. Yep, just take it out.
So you've done it on both speakers already?
We've done that on both speakers. And then one cool thing that I'll just point out real quick, Eric, tap the Cali logo. So if you don't know, you put it in a standby mode. So the Cali logo is a capacitive touch thing. So if you don't know if you've got, tap it one more time. If you don't know if you have an EQ or not, you just tap the logo once gently. Don't hold it. and it'll blink to tell you, hey, you've got your own EQ in.
Okay, great. Very nice. And you've done both?
And we've done both, so they're ready to go.
Okay. Woo-hoo-hoo. All right, so let's listen again. Awesome. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the relationship between the kick and the bass is that little bit tastier now. It's really, really good. That because, you know, I recorded, mixed, played on it, you know, the whole snizzle, and that just feels like the recording. I mean, that's my old studio. It's the room.
You know that yesterday's gone. I can hear.
So, 3,400.
3,400 for the pair.
Marvelous. And when are they going to be out? When are we allowed to release this video?
When this video releases, they will be out. I don't know exactly yet.
So if we put it out tomorrow, they have to go up on sale. Eric, if you can put it out tomorrow, put it up.
It's already out.
You can do it. But it's going to be available at all of your local retailers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Marvelous.
I call to the Green Mountain State. I call to the silence you make. Do you live inside, outside me? As you speak through 10,000 leaves. There's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. There's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. It has always, always. It has always, always. In the house way down by the lake, a story told in a mystic way. And those roads they run through big fields, yeah. Those roads my heart they come steal. They come steal. There's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. There's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way, there's a way. It has always, always. It has always.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
That was awesome. I feel very privileged. Aren't we privileged, Eric?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we are. To get to hear them first.
Yeah.
Thank you ever so much.
I'm so glad you liked them.
Yeah, they're superb. And congratulations moving into that sort of echelon world. I mean, the reality is that, let's be honest, I have been in a gazillion studios that have your speakers with lots of very well-known producers, engineers, and mixers, particularly when it comes down to immersive sound, because IM5s and IN8s are infinitely affordable and you can build a whole massive system around them. And I've so many rooms I've been in sound phenomenal. But it's lovely to see you get into the sort of high end, shall we go. And the fact that you're going to compete at like half the price of your brethren. Brethren? Are they brethren? Whatever. Better than saying competitors, but I just did. Yeah, no, fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. We are going to give away an LP UNF. They can't give these away because they're so bleeding expensive to make. And they won't even be on sale by the time this comes out. So
By the time this comes out,
they will be on sale.
they're on sale.
They'll be on sale. Okay. All right. So go down below there to win a pair of LP UNFs. Thanks, everyone. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, au revoir, adios. What's Hungarian for goodbye? Any idea?
Geez, I don't know.
Oh, geez, I don't know.